Hello and welcome everybody. Today we'll be going over Laravel in depth to prepare ourselves for the certification exam. And in this video, we'll be discussing seeding. Database seeding. Have you ever had a fresh, new database with no data whatsoever? It's nice and clean, but it is hard to test the functionalities on your website. You can fill in the tables manually, but that would take forever. And so to solve this problem, Laravel introduces seeding. Seeding helps us add dummy data to a database quickly and seamlessly with our migrations. All of our seeders live within the database directory in the seeders folder. As you can see, Laravel gives us an initial database seeder. Here we can see that the database seeder class comes with one method, which is the run method. I have uncommented the factory here, so let's see what it's doing. It's actually using the user model to generate 10 different users. Then within the user model, we can see that it has the has factory trait, which is used to find the user factory. We can see this here in userfactory.php within the factories folder. Examining the class, we can see that it uses the user model and then has a single method of definition, which is used to generate each column of data for the individual rows. And finally, we can see that we're using Faker to generate the name and email, as well as setting the email verification date as now, the password, and a remember token. We can run this seeder along with our migrations using the seed flag. So run here php artisan migrate -- seed. Then here in SQL Pro, when we refresh, we can see that we not only get the tables, but we also get this dummy data. Creating a seeder. In order to create a seeder, we can use the following artisan command, php artisan make seeder. But let's add the help flag to learn more about this command. So we can see here that we have the name of the class as the argument, but actually no options. In terms of the name, we generally follow the pattern of the model name followed by the word seeder. For example, post seeder for the posts table. Now that we have created the seeder, let's insert the data as we normally would with Eloquent. So we have the database facade, then we'll use the posts table to insert. We'll insert our title as just title for the moment, and the body, that'll be body. And our user ID, we'll just leave that as 1 for the moment, and we'll close this off. Okay, so this should insert just this data into the post table. And if we run our seeder, and if we refresh, we can see here we have our one post. But this isn't the most efficient way to seed our database. So we can do maybe a few things here that will improve that. First, bring in Faker there, and for the title, let's use Faker as one sentence here for the title. Faker paragraph, maybe we'll have 10 paragraphs for the body. And then for the user ID, actually let's go dip into the user model and we'll pluck out the IDs. We just want a random one, it doesn't matter in this situation. So this should be a little bit more realistic. And let's try that. We seeded the database, go back to the database, and okay, so we can see we have something that's a little bit more realistic for our posts, but still we're just getting one of them. So what if we just loop through these with a simple for each? And so maybe we just do the range of 1 to, let's just do 50. Posts as index, it doesn't matter, and then we'll add all this inside, and so we should get 50 posts again with the fake information that we have right here and the actual IDs that we're using for the users. So let's go ahead and seed our database again. It worked, and we'll see what we have here. There are several ways to run the database seeders. If there are no changes to the migrations and you simply want to see the database, you can, of course, run the artisan command php artisan db seed. However, if you want to run a particular seeder, you can use the class flag. Imagine that we only want to run the post seeder, then we would run php artisan db seed -- class equals post seeder. Now, usually there is some reason that you want to reseed the database. In that case, you can run the seeds as a flag on the migrate artisan command. In this case, you would run php artisan migrate fresh -- seed. You can use this with refresh or just migrate as well. But with fresh, this starts you off with a fresh, new, and updated database with the dummy data that you need for testing your application. Now, if you have set the app environment here, instead of having in local, imagine you were in production. Of course, if you're in production, you probably do not want to seed your database. And so imagine if I ran php artisan db seed. In this case, it would say you are in production. Are you sure you want to do this? And you should say no. But imagine you do, well, you can go ahead and do it that way. Otherwise, you can force it. Probably never want to reach for this, but this is an option. So you would run PHP artisan db seed -- force, and this would force it to happen. Of course, again, you should never run the seeder in production. So you can do the same thing that we did here, except with a model factory. This is exactly what they did with the user factory right here. So you can see that they have the user model, then they're using the factory and creating 10 of these users. So let's go ahead and create our own. We can do that by using the artisan command, php artisan make factory post factory. Now that that has been created, we can see that it's bringing in the post class. And all we need to do here is return this method right here, which is the definition, is exactly what we had here in the seeder. So instead of looping through all this and using the database facade, instead of that, we can simply return our information right here. And so we'll just have to bring in faker. All I need to do is this faker, and it is already here. I just need to bring in the user. Okay, and that should be it for the post factory. So we'll just have to go back here to the database seeder, and we can say that we want to use the post factory. Let's just do 100, and we can comment this out, and we'll do php artisan migrate fresh -- seed. Because we'll be using the database seeder. Let's go to the posts. Yeah, we have 100 posts, and there we go. So that does exactly the same thing. So we can either call the post seeder and it'll have all the information right here, or we can create its own factory where we are simply returning all the data that we want to create. And within the database seeder, we're using that model factory and we're creating the number of posts. And the last thing I wanted to point out here is that, well, if we recall that the posts belong to the user, right? So if we go into the user model, what we should have that the user has many of these posts, and then within the post model, we show that the posts belong to the user. Right, and so within the database factory, what we can do is use a magic method has posts, and let's say each user has 10 posts, and then we can create that as well, right? So user, the factory, it's going to create 10 of them, and it has 10 of the posts right there. So if we do php artisan migrate fresh seed, that should give us the same thing. So 10 by 10 gives us 100, and you can see we have exactly 10 of each. So this is Laravel seeding in a nutshell. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to write in the comment section below. And if you're planning on taking the certification exam, please be sure to subscribe to the channel.